the Reader's Page. What would you have done? Last week, we invited you, the readers, to write and tell us about things that had happened to you or things that you had heard about. We wanted stories where people just didn't know what to do next. Here are the stories that interested us the most. That's my coffee. Or was.
I was at a counter in a restaurant in a small western town. I had just been served a cup of coffee. Suddenly, this huge man, he looked like a boxer, came over, picked up my coffee, drank it, banged the cup down on the table, stared at me, and then walked away without saying anything. I suppose I should have said something, but I was scared stiff. I didn't know what to do. What would you have done? Stanley Wempy, Carbondale, Illinois.
In deep water.
I was driving through Oregon on my vacation. It was a very hot day, and I stopped at a small, deserted beach. I didn't have my bathing suit with me, but it was early in the morning, and there were no people or houses in sight. So I took off my clothes and swam out in the ocean in my underwear. I'm a very strong swimmer. I floated on my back, closed my eyes, and relaxed in the water. When I looked back at the beach, several cars had arrived, and there were 20 or 30 people sitting on the sand having a picnic. What would you have done? Jane Dare, Spokane, Washington.
That's a no-no.
I heard a great story about the Reverend Billy Cracker. He'd gone to London to speak at a large meeting. Anyway, when he stepped off the plane, there were a lot of reporters and TV cameras. The first question one of the reporters asked was, "Do you intend to visit any nightclubs in London?" Reverend Cracker smiled at the reporter. "Are there any nightclubs in London?" he answered innocently. The next morning, the headline in one of the London papers was, "Cracker's first question on arrival in London, are there any nightclubs?" How would you have felt? Reverend Oral Richards, Columbia, South Carolina.
Strangers in the Night.
My story isn't funny at all. It was a very frightening experience. You see, one night I woke up suddenly. I heard the tinkle of broken glass from downstairs, and I heard the window opening. Then I heard two voices. My wife woke up too. She told me to do something. A couple of days before, there had been a report about a burglary in the local paper. The burglars had been interrupted, and they had beaten up the homeowner. They'd nearly killed him. I was trembling with fear. I just didn't know what to do. In the end, I didn't go down, and they stole the sterling silverware we had inherited from my mother. Was I right? What would you have done? Lorenzo Machado, Abilene, Texas.
Deep fried.
I had parked my car at a local shopping mall, and I was taking a shortcut through the side door of a restaurant. Halfway across the restaurant, I spotted my father eating a hamburger and French fries. He often eats there. I sneaked up behind him, put my hand over his shoulder, took a French fry off the plate, dipped it in the ketchup, and ate it. Then I realized that the man was not my father. I was so embarrassed. I couldn't say a word. What would you have done? Cheryl Redburn, Minneapolis, Minnesota.